The Mobalytics Academy series is focused on the fundamentals of League of Legends, curated by our challenger level players. By focusing on these basics, even the most skilled high elo players can improve their game and climb the ladder. For marksmen, a few deaths early into the laning phase can put you far enough behind that it makes it incredibly hard to hit power spike timings to be relevant before the game is over. Let's go over a few tips to avoid deaths caused by ganks so that you don't fall behind. It's easier to know how freely you can play when you have knowledge of where the enemy jungler is. Pay attention to where the enemy jungler starts, and you can use that information to understand when they want to gank you during their first clear. If they are following a similar path to your own jungler, then you can use your teammate as an estimate for where the enemy jungler might be. Later on into the laning phase, you can use buff and scuttle respawn timers to get an idea of where the enemy jungler wants to path. In this example, both bot lanes spot each other in the river around 1:30 into the game, which tips both teams off that the opposing junglers are starting topside. This signifies to each team that they're most likely safe from a level 2 gank jungler, but once the junglers are done their first clear, that the first gank is most likely to be bottom or mid between 3 and 4 minutes. Here, Ivern decides to skip Gromp, do scuttle, and he's already on schedule to loop around on Jhin and Nami at 3:09. Most players will tip off a gank before it even happens. If you can recognize the tells of a gank, then you can avoid getting baited and book it before they even get the chance for a gank. Each player may vary a little bit in their tells they give off, but the key thing is to look for significant change in behavior. Did the timid and cautious enemies suddenly start playing very aggressively and confident? Maybe the enemy had a control word in their inventory for a few minutes before deciding that now was the best time to place it in that tri-brush. Pay attention to your opponent's behavior, and you'll save yourself from getting baited into a gank. In this example, Jinx failed to notice critical pieces of information that should have tipped her off that something was coming. Maybe you can spot them. Let's rewatch that. Notice how Caitlyn and Sona dragged the wave upwards closer to the river? This was the biggest tell that something was up. Normally players don't bother to do this unless they have a specific reason to. If we look from Blue Side's point of view, we realize that they wanted Sejuani to be able to get into the lane brush, so they dragged the enemy minions away so Sejuani wouldn't get spotted. Afterwards, Caitlyn and Sona ignored the wave to run at Jinx for a full second before Jinx got ulted by Sejuani. Had Jinx been paying closer attention, she would have been able to put 2 and 2 together and realize that gank was coming. If you feel a gank is coming, then the safest place to be is on your side of the map instead of past the river. If the wave is pushing towards your side of the map, then you can play an EXP range while you wait for it to get in the desired spot. If the wave is pushing away from you, then you have to reset it quickly by pushing into the turret or see if the enemy is impatient and starts pushing the wave to you by themselves. In this example, Caitlyn and Sona noticed that Scryer's Bloom was killed by the enemy jungler. With this information, they flipped from constantly pushing and playing aggressively to playing more passive and letting Jinx push to Caitlyn's side of the lane, so that they can farm in a position that is less vulnerable to ganks until they confirm that the threat of a gank is gone. As always, the easiest way to avoid a gank is to see it coming before it even happens. Between the bot laner and the support, you can have the river warded for the majority of the laning phase. Please don't be that guy that dies to a gank with maximum charges on their trinket available. Thanks for watching this episode of the Mobalytics Academy series. Now go practice these concepts in a game, and don't forget to use the pregame feature to give you the intel you need to win.